So you just bought an N64, but before you can get to all the
Yahoo!
and you'll have to set it up. Here is everything you'll need. Power supply, AV cable, controller, jumper pack or expansion pack, and the console itself. The key to setting up your N64 is the jumper pack. Open up the hatch at the front of your system and make sure that the console you have purchased has one of the two types of packs inside. The jumper pack is the default that came with the system. Upon startup, the console will make sure that the jumper pack is slotted in, and, if not, will not power up. So it's important to make sure you at least have the standard jumper. Alternatively, you may have an expansion pack installed. These go into the same slot as the jumpers but have a large red grill on top. These give your system a little extra memory that is required to play a few games, such as Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong 64, StarCraft 64's multiplayer, and the single player for Perfect Dark. Otherwise, the added memory allows for higher resolution, longer draw distances, and slightly improved graphics. The expansion pack is not required, but if you are looking to play one of those previously mentioned games, you'll need to pick one up. We carry them at Nostalgic Video Games. After checking your jumper pack, set your console up somewhere that will be easily accessible to your play area. Remember that the game cartridges will stick out from the top of the console, and you will need to access the power and reset buttons as well. Then, plug the large power brick into the back of the N64. The 64 has a specialized power adapter with a large brick on one end, so make sure that the console you have purchased has the correct power supply. If not, we sell replacements at Nostalgic as well. It can be a little tricky to line up the pin connection while slotting in the power brick, but when you do, you'll feel it slot in. Then, plug the end of the power cord into the outlet. The N64 has a built-in circuit breaker in its power cable, but it is always a good idea to plug your consoles into a surge protector anyways. Next, plug the AV cable into the back of the console. Then, match up the red, yellow, and white cables on the back of your TV. This is the same AV cord used for the Super Nintendo and GameCube, so if you already have one of those consoles, you're all set. If your TV doesn't have an AV input, consider an HDMI converter, or the specialized Hyperkin HDMI cable. Last thing to note is the controller. OEM 64 controllers have a pretty common problem with their joysticks wearing out from the continued use over the years. So if your controller is floppy or drifting, don't be discouraged. Nintendo has been dealing with drift problems for decades. OEM controllers in good shape can cost a pretty penny, so consider a third-party option like the Hyperkin Captain or the Retro Fighters Brawler 64. We recently did a video on the Brawler 64, and it's a fantastic wireless alternative to an N64 controller, so check that out if you haven't already. When you have a controller you're comfortable with, plug it into the far left controller port. Plug in your desired game and power the console on. If the game doesn't start up immediately and you're met with a black screen, don't panic. These old cartridges get dusty and the pins oxidize. But whatever you do, don't blow on it. It might blow the dust off and get the game working, but the moisture from your breath will oxidize those pins faster. So always take a Q-tip and some 91% alcohol and scrub the pins down. Most of the time, that'll get your game working. And that's all there is to it. If you found this video helpful, let us know by liking, commenting, or subscribing. That goes a long way to show us your support. We've got lots of awesome content, including these how-tos, so keep in touch with the Nostalgic Network. We'll see you next time.